And we are live. Welcome back to the 10th episode of Tiny Table Talk, where we talk about our upcoming TTRPG, Aeons of Adventure. I'm John.
I'm Taya.
And today we're going to talk about the Radiance Mastery. So this will be a deep dive into one of the magical masteries within our mastery system within the Aeons of Adventure Kickstarter TTRPG. Pre-launch page is live. It is available. The link is available in the description below, along with our social medias, our community Discord, and our Facebook groups. All right, so let's jump right into it. Okay, today we're going to cover the Radiance Mastery. So why don't you give us a quick rundown on what the Radiance Mastery is going to encapsulate?
So, Radiant is, you can think of it like in your traditional like TTRPG or like your traditional games, right? Like the holy user, holy magic. So it's a bit more divinity-ish feeling, like your like your paladin stuff like that. So like heal stuff like that.
Clerics,
Yeah.
or your typical holy users, your holy man, right?
So we took that idea and then we somewhat form it in a way where it's so for this particular the basic set, right? The mastery that we are getting, the skills that you're getting for Radiance Mastery itself, it's closer to a paladin play style. Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So for some context in the basic set, all the masteries come along with 5 skills instead of going the full, level 1 to 20 or whatever that you may have in a traditional TTRPG. Because this is a basic set, we're limited as to the number of skills we're able to slot inside due to the number of cards that come with the skills. So currently, what we have with Radiance Mastery is we have 5 skills, and the 5 skills are leaning more towards a paladin spellblade as playstyle. It does encapsulate certain cleric elements as well, but we will get to that as we go through the skills later on. All right, and so let's jump right into it with what is the Radiance Mastery specifically, right? It's not very big, so if you guys need to, you can pause, take a look, scroll in, read, right? But I'm gonna read it for you anyway. Okay, so Radiance is the description here. This is cut from the rulebook directly. It's a radiating beacon of light in the darkness, granting salvation to friends with one hand and smiting foes with the other. There will be a lot of smiting, you shall see, right? And determining the fates of those on the battlefield. So Radiance, it's one of those masteries that we have that is, it was very much designed with having synergy with other masteries, in particular. So it is akin to that of Inspiration or Beast. We haven't covered Inspiration so much yet, but if you have seen Beast, it is somewhat similar to that in the sense that it has a lot more synergies compared to the other different masteries, right? So it comes with healing, comes with protection, comes with some enchantment, and all sorts of like synergistic skills with martial weapons and spells and stuff like that, right? And the core attribute of Radiance is Charm. So in all of our other magic masteries, they are all affinity, right? So you have flame, you have frost, you have arcane that will be coming up, and they'll all be affinity. But Radiance is a little different. It's charm, right? So if you remember our last episode, we covered the different races, and in one of them we talked about terrestrial magics. So those are things like flame, elemental stuff, right? So Radiance is not a terrestrial magic specifically. Radiance is a celestial magic because it comes from the stars, right? And in the setting of Corinthia, Radiance comes from within, right? So take as that as you may. In the lore, the most common users of Radiant magic are the Deiras, right? So you can see the art in the back. It's a Deira using Radiant Strike, right? So let's take a look at the spread for Radiant skills. So Radiance, you have 0, 1, 1, 2, and 3, which means that the choice skill here is at rank 1. It's much earlier because
this is similar to archery, or is it archery?
No, archery is 0,
no,
1, 2.
1, 2,
yeah.
2, yeah. I think, is it the earliest? Yeah, should be the earliest. Yeah. It's so the reason, I mean, when we go into the breakdown, it will be more obvious, but like what you mentioned earlier, so Radiance in here, right, is a bit more support focused. So that's also the reason why you see this the spread in level 1 itself, yeah. Because there is one that is more support friendly and the other one is more selfish in that sense. Yeah.
Yep. So the support skills within Radiance obviously it applies to yourself as well. So you can support yourself and go beat the shit out of some undead, but you can also support your friends and your allies. So you'll find that a lot of these skills are applicable both ways. It can be used in conjunction with your own martial skills, your own spells, and your own weapons, or your allies' weapons as well. Okay. We'll jump into the skills later. So let's take a look at the example mastery combinations that will give you a hint into what are some of the things that are possible with the mastery. This is similar to what we have covered in the other mastery episodes, where we showcase like, okay, what are the like default class fantasies that you can achieve with this, and what are some things that are a little bit different, a little bit more interesting, right? The first one we have here is cleric. So the cleric will be your default cleric, but this is more like a physical, your first edition, second edition style cleric, where you're wearing medium heavy armor, right? And you're going in with a mace and beating people up with your weapon. So over here we have Radiance plus heavy armor. You smite enemies and you protect your foes with radiant magic. In AoA, we don't have strict armor types that you have to wear depending on your mastery. Instead, you choose the mastery related to your armor type, separate from everything else. So if you want to be a holy user wearing cloth armor, wearing light armor, wearing plate armor, up to you. You can choose whatever you'd like.
So just to add on to that sentence, right? So you mentioned that this is a cleric that's using a mace and smiting people. You realize that there isn't a mace mastery here. So it is actually exactly the same as how we are dealing with armor, which is you can use the item without having necessary mastery in it. So that's the reason why you can use a mace, even though there isn't a mastery for it, as well as like there is no proficiency stuff like that. Yeah.
So proficiencies do not exist, right? Masteries determine the skills you can use with an item,
correct,
rather than your ability to use the item in the first place.
So one example here is also, right, even though here in the suggestion it says heavy armor, you might have the heavy armor mastery, but you might not be wearing heavy armor.
Yeah, it's possible. You might just not have
It's
access
weird,
to it.
but
it's possible.
It's possible, yes.
It could be, it could be a plot reason. Maybe you're in a story and then they strip you of your armor as they throw you in prison or whatnot. But then when you get access to it, you're able to fight in a more comfortable manner because your character's used to fighting in heavy armor.
Correct.
Right. So that's something that it represents. So in this case, right here, we have the cleric, which is you use holy spells, you wear heavy armor, you're going in. You might be melee, you might be ranged, but the core is that you're wearing heavy armor and you're fighting with divine magic in your hands. Right. And then the second option here, so this is something that is more specific to what you can achieve in Aeons of Adventure, which is the chaplain. It's a combination between radiant magic and being a bard, basically, right? You're using your words of inspiration to buff your allies. It's going full on into the support archetype, right? And supports are really powerful in Aeons of Adventure. Like support is, I would almost say it's nigh compulsory. Yeah. You would want some kind of support or some protection in an adventuring group because things are dangerous, damage is high. Well, the number is low, but it's high compared to your HP, right? And it is very, very, very important that you get the first hit in, you take initiative, or you don't die, right? To protect yourself.
I think supports being strong will get more and more obvious as we do more of these deep dives.
Yep.
So you will see like how like certain things stacks, as well as like when certain actions are done together in conjunction with another, it will look very cohesive in that sense, which is what we are aiming for in AoA, the combat encounter and stuff like that.
Yep. Especially when we get more into combat in general, right? People start to see that it can be very lethal. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
All right.
But for both sides.
Yes, both sides. Not just for players, of course. Your enemies are gonna die very quickly, and so are you. But the damage is not low. Not low. All right. Let's move on to the very first skill, and this will be the basic skill that you will learn at rank 0. For every mastery, rank 0 represents that this is the first skill that you can learn. You don't need any points having been spent into the mastery yet. Thus, a rank 0 skill. All right. So, what is Radiant Strike?
So, for some refresher, so this is how the skills is presented in the book itself.
Yep.
I'm not sure if you're going to show the card.
I have a card here.
Okay, yeah.
Yep.
So we'll the information will be mirrored roughly the same as on the card. So as you can see on the left side of the skill. So you see multiple things here. So we will run through it slowly lah. So the first thing is the name, which is Radiance, right? So it has the following 3 tags. So strike, weapon, and spell.
Yeah.
So strike is a 2d6 attack roll, and then weapon it requires a weapon to use, as well as this being a spell, which is most magic attacks.
Magic masteries.
Magic mastery, yeah.
So all magic masteries, typically the skill is a spell.
So next one is the skill type is a spell. So then following that, SP cost. So AoA runs on the stamina point system, and this is the resource that you need to use this skill. So in Radiant Strike case, it's 1 stamina point cost. Then next is the mastery requirement. So I think you mentioned earlier, where this is actually the first skill that you will learn. Thus, it's a Radiant 0 spell. Yeah. Requirement, you need a weapon to use this spell, and MP cost. So MP cost, right, is actually the mastery point cost. So how much point is required to learn this particular skill in this spell? Yeah.
So for reference, the top left icon of the card is the skill type. The top right icon is the stamina point cost, and the bottom icon is the MP cost.
The very, very bottom.
Yeah, all the way at the bottom, that small circle.
Yeah.
One thing that is a little unique with Radiant skills in general, or Radiant spells, you'll find that they actually require a weapon, right? Now, what classifies as a weapon? A lot of things classify as a weapon. A staff classifies as a weapon. Your gloves, your gauntlets could classify as a weapon as well. So a lot of things do classify as a weapon, but it requires a weapon. So that is something that is a little bit unique compared to the other magical masteries, which only typically require a focus of some sort, right? So let's get into the effect.
So effects wise, similar to all our other like strike type skills, right? You have 3 effects here. So first one, right, is actually what happens when you successfully land the hit. Following that is what happens when you land a single natural 6, as well as the third one will be when you land a critical success, which is double 6. So all these are additive on top of each other, so you can add it on lah.
Yeah, you will add it on if you achieve the result.
However, quite specific for Radiant, right? There is a choice.
Yeah.
Correct. So I'll slowly get into it. So reading these out, the basic effect is a ranged spell strike.
A weapon spell.
Yeah, weapon spell strike. Either dealing 5 radiance or healing for 5 plus charisma. So you notice for Radiant Strike, this is the quote-unquote trend where you have an all condition here. So you can choose what happens when you land the hit. Right? So in this case, you can choose to deal damage or you choose to heal. So in a combat scenario, right, this means this is your source of healing. So when you want to heal someone, you go and slap them basically.
Yeah.
You then when you get a single 6, right? This is where you add on these following effects. So you can either blind the target or you heal additional 2 health. So this is where you will question, can I heal someone and blind them? You can, because it's an all condition. So you choose either or. So you could also, what you could also do is you can hit them for 5 damage and then heal them for 2.
If for some reason you like to, sure.
Yeah, correct. It's possible, correct? So these are things that is very possible, right? And finally, right, it's deal just additional flat 2 radiance damage or heal plus 2. Yeah.
So let's take a look at the tags here, specifically for the effects. The ones for strike, weapon, and spell, I think are fairly straightforward. So it's a strike, requires a weapon, it's a spell, right? However, how does this actually play in the effect? It's quite interesting because if you look at the other martial masteries and martial skills, when you use a weapon strike or any weapon skill or weapon technique, it inherits a lot of the features from your weapon. So for example, if your weapon is mighty, it would use might, right? If it's whatever, you use the relevant stat or attribute. However, because this is a spell, spells require the attribute from their specific magical mastery. So in this scenario, and for Radiance in general, all the all the modifiers use charm instead of their respective stat. So if you were to use a mighty weapon, you will still use charm. If you use a dexterous weapon, you will still use charm, right? So that is something that is, it helps in the multi-classing kind of mastery sense, that you don't have to split your attributes across different things. If you want to play a charm character and you want to rely on Radiant Strike, then you can just use charm with add charm with no, how to say, you don't have to hold back. However, if you do want to use more of your other weapon skills, then it will still require you to use whatever that relevant attribute is. For example, if you want to use archery, you still have to use your actual weapon rather than to use Radiant Strike. So this only applies when you use the Radiant Strike skill itself. Okay, then it deals 5 holy damage. So this actually ignores the damage type of your weapon unless stated otherwise. And it heals 5 plus charm. So another scalar here. So this one is actually this is the first the ratio one scales with level. So this one scales with charm instead. So the higher your charm, the more you heal. Right. So 5 plus charm, healing amount. Okay. And
So,
then
just to touch on that a bit, right? Most skill actually does not have this like scalar there.
Yep.
It's quite specific to like, mainly you will see most of this in heals. Yeah. You not really see this for damage, or I would actually say there isn't any for damage right now that I can think of on top of my head. Yeah.
I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think
I
there's
don't think
damage
so.
because the key issue here, right, is we don't want any like scaling damage on like a basic skill, because then this would mean like we are just power creeping ourselves to death. Right. So but then you question like, why would we put heal a scaler on the heal then? So the reason is very simple. It's because healing is very limited in the first place. So having any heals, right? And you notice actually, this is I think the only heal in mastery side.
No, there's one in
There's
inspiration.
one more inspiration, yeah.
Yeah.
But basically there's only 2.
Yeah, there are very few heals
yeah,
available.
there's very, very few. So I mean, this also brings back an earlier conversation about like supports being very strong. This is the main reason why lah. Yeah.
Yep. So when you have a very small amount of access to supportive things, whatever amount of support you have is much more impactful, right? We'll get into the exact implications of heal in a moment. So let's take a look at the great success one, which is blind the target or heal 2. So what blind is the target who's blinded strikes against that target gain an advantage, right? Which means that you amp all strikes against this target immediately, and then that creature strikes gain a disadvantage, so they are less likely to hit you with a strike.
Correct.
Right. And the last thing is that they also automatically fail any challenge or blast roll which requires their sight. Right. So anything that like they, well,
that isn't
being flashbang, you're immune to it because you're already blind, right? But perhaps something like you have to see something to avoid something, you'll fail those immediately.
Like you climb or you like walk past a bridge.
I think those things are still okay, but whether like, for example, if someone were to shoot something at you and you're trying to dodge it, you're not gonna feel it, right?
So to touch on the advantage part, so AoA is actually a 2d6 roll based game lah, right? So with advantage, right, how we implement it is for every advantage you have or disadvantage, you add a additional d6.
Yep.
Correct. So and then for advantage, right, you just be taking the 2 highest roll, and disadvantage taking the 2 lowest roll.
Yep.
Yeah. So if you actually stack this skill with what we mentioned previously in archery, so one of the skills actually gives advantage, right? This stacks together and basically gives you like up to X amount of d6.
Yeah, for as many as you would like to stack.
We have seen like 6 before, or like
I think I went up to like
8,
7 or 8. Yeah.
8.
So like that means that you have 6 advantages and you roll 8 dice and you take the 2 highest. So you can get some really wacky amount of dice available.
So it's like, so if example, right, you blind the guy and then there's like there's certain other like conditions that's applied as well as like debuff or buff on yourself.
Or maybe they're prone, or maybe they're flank.
All these are additive on top of each other.
Yep.
Then so you notice that this actually ties into our whole like tactical combat thing about like how we want players to play around each other to achieve a certain result. So this is one of the few things that we have that is very prominent lah.
And so with that, Now that we've done the blind part and the heal part, and the last one is just deal 2 more damage or heal 2 more. I think that's pretty straightforward. Okay, let's take a look at healing for a moment, right? As mentioned just now, healing is not particularly accessible in AoA. Even when you rest, you don't actually heal all your HP. Be it so we have 3 kinds of rest. We have short rest, we have a camp rest, and then you have a good rest, right, which is a long rest in the town, right? In camp rest and short rest, you don't heal a lot. It's healed based on your how long you've rested and your vigor, right? So those are things that limit your ability to constantly travel outside a lot. Now, if you have someone with a healing spell, that becomes much simpler, but it's still limited by what is known as your vitality. If you've seen in the races, Tiny Table Talk, and then the one that we covered in Beast, we talked briefly about vitality, and vitality is what it is. It's a resource that is consumed when you are healed, right? This could be healed from a potion, this could be healed from a spell or any skill effect. So these are heals that are external, not from you resting, right? And vitality is determined by the amount of vigor you have, plus a base amount. So it's 2 plus vigor, right? That's the exact formula. So what happens when you get healed? You lose a vitality that is regained upon resting. And if you were to lose all your vitality to 0, you can still be healed. However, the next time you're healed, you receive fatigue. And what fatigue is fatigue is a stacking debuff, and fatigue gives you a -1 to all roll per additional fatigue, and then eventually grants disadvantage. And once it hits 4 stacks, it starts giving you exhaustion, and at that point, once you get 3 exhaustion, you die, right? So you can still go about your day spamming heals and healing you for as much as you would like, right? But eventually you reach the point where you can barely function as a creature once you have accrued so much fatigue and so much exhaustion that you have disadvantage on everything. You have like -2, -3 rolls on everything. Whenever you do has disadvantage, your movement speed drops, and then eventually you just pass away, right? And the way that you remove all of this fatigue and exhaustion is by resting, which cannot be removed by any spell effects as of this moment.
So just adding on to that particular conversion of vitality, right? So this works both ways. So in combat, one of the ways we have actually talked about, and I'm not sure we have seen it tried in combat, which is you overheal the guy to death.
Yeah.
It has happened. It is possible, but the issue here will be you don't know how much vitality they have.
As a player, you might not be completely certain how much vitality a creature already has. Maybe they've been hit before, maybe they haven't.
Correct.
Maybe they're full, maybe their vigor is really high, and then you have to heal them many times before they actually take any fatigue or exhaustion. So there's an element of like number of hits going on here.
Correct. So this is where you can use I heal the guy and then I blind him as well.
Yep.
Yeah, so that is like one of the usage we have seen with this particular skill.
It's possible. It's an option. It's an option. It's a tactic that you can do.
It's not really meta option as well. It's just a very cool way of using, like, playing around with like the system that we have.
There's some potentials where you can have maybe, for example, you may have 4, like your entire party all has healers and they're going about healing people to death by blowing up their fatigue and exhaustion. Like that could be a thing. That's really sadistic, but hey, who am I to judge, right?
Yeah.
Okay, do we have anything else we want to add for Radiant Strike?
Yeah, so you notice that Radiant Strike is probably the heaviest skill in general. Yeah, because this is, I think, the only skill that had like quote-unquote options in like a single skill lah. Yeah, so usually you don't see this as well. You don't see like the all being used much outside of like Radiance. Radiant Strike specifically. Yeah.
Okay, let's move on to the next one. So the next one is an enchantment skill. If you have seen our Flame Mastery one, it's a similar thing. This is the Radiant version of the enchantment, right? So we have Light's Reach, which is the spell itself, and then Light's Extend, which is the enchant, right? Some context: enchants are skills that last indefinitely once you've applied them, unless the caster dies, or even if they're unconscious, it still continues. They have to die, right? Or they cast another enchantment to replace an enchantment, an existing enchantment, right? So what exactly is Light's Reach?
So Light's Reach is the main spell is actually a boon enchant spell. So boon is basically anything that's a buff, and then enchant, like what you mentioned, is is a buff.
Mm.
And this is a spell, correct? So skill type is a spell. The stamina point cost is 2. Correct. So at level 1 to level 2, this is all your stamina. However, do note that you can do this outside of combat, and it's roughly the same. It still costs 2 stamina, but because you're not running on like quote unquote like turns, it's quote unquote free as well. Yeah. You can treat it that way.
Yeah, you can cast it outside.
So most of
have it
so
not consume
all of these
your
skills can
SP.
be used outside of combat. So that includes like the heal.
Yeah.
Right? So Radiant Strike can be used outside of heal. Like you can heal the guy like unlimited time. But yeah, you run to the vitality problem lah. Yeah. So going back to the skill itself. So this is a level 1 mastery spell. So
yeah, a rank 1 Radiance.
Yeah, so this means that you need to have added any point before in the basic set case. This is
Radiant Strike.
There's only Radiant Strike. Yeah. So next is requirement is you need to it's a voice. So this means you need to say the name of this spell, which is like reach or like some form of like command word lah.
Whatever chant you might have for your spell.
Have, like
if you have something in mind that's really cool, then you'd be like, like extend, then you touch the blade or something. But generally it's the spell is light reach. So you have to say something as you cast the spell, as you touch the weapon to enchant it.
Then the mastery cost is 1. The learning cost lah, basically. So what it actually does is it enchants a weapon you can touch. So touch is within 5 feet. Yeah.
With your hands.
With your hands. Yeah. Then with Light's Extend, then you can only have one weapon enchant with this spell at any point of time. So like I mentioned earlier, if someone override your Light's Reach for example the fire one, right? Then Flame Enchant? Flame Enchant. Yeah. Then Light's Reach gets removed in that sense. Yeah.
It goes both ways.
Yeah.
You, for example, if you were to touch a weapon, you can only have one weapon enchanted with this spell at any point in time. That means the caster. However, the weapon also has a limit of 1 enchant, right? So if someone else overrides it, yes, it gets replaced. You now have an open slot to enchant another weapon, right? So that's what it means by one weapon enchanted with this spell at any point in time. That applies to the caster.
Correct.
Right?
So this means, right, if you have 2 Radiance users in the party, you can have two sets of Light's Extend.
Yep.
Yeah, because unless you put on the same guy, I don't know why you're doing that lah.
Yeah, I mean you're extending his face or something like that.
Yeah. So if you have 2 Radiant users and they both try and enchant the same guy, only one instance works. So the other one gets overrated. Yeah. Okay. So what is this actual what's the actual buff? So the actual buff, right? Because we are using cards to show for our plays, right? So this means that we have a specific card. So this card, right, is actually what we call a token card. So that token card is given to the player, to the buffed user. So this means that as because when you buff someone else, right, they wouldn't know what is the exact
they might not memorize the effect.
They might not memorize, they might not even know what's the effect. So that's why we created these token cards where you can just pass the guy this buff token and they'll know what is it. Okay. Yeah. So that's the whole effect. That's the whole summary of buff tokens. So going back into the actual details, so it's the buff here, right, is skills used with this weapon deal radiant damage. Then it gains plus 5 feet range as well. It's 5 feet longer. Yeah, 5 feet range. Yeah, same thing. Then and the weapon glows golden in a 20 feet emanation around it.
Yeah, I mean, if Light Extend stacks, that's kind of weird, right? Like, you have this blade just getting longer and longer. Now a stronger Light Extend, though, maybe. I don't know. Maybe,
it won't be called Light Extend also.
It will
be like Light Extend Square.
Yeah.
It won't be the same name, because if it's the same name, right, then it's not.
So generally, effects of the same name do not stack unless we state that it stacks.
Yeah.
So, as seen in Focus from Archery.
Yeah, I think
only focus.
Focus. Correct. So for this condition, so what does it mean? So skill use with this weapon deal radiant damage. So I think if you've seen our blade arts and archery mastery, so Actually, mastery is a bit weird for this, but okay. They usually deal physical damage because it's based on the weapon type.
Yeah, they deal
So
damage equivalent to the weapon.
correct. So
Yeah.
if the weapons are usually just normal damage,
physical.
however, if you are dealing, if you have applied this buff, it's now converted to radiant type damage. So this means right, you're dealing every shot you're firing is a radiant. It's a radiant damage type now. Is swapped to a radiant type damage in that sense. You can see that way lah. Yeah. Then melee range is 5 feet. So that means that the archery one does not work. Right? It only affects melee weapons.
Your bow being bigger does not mean your arrow flies further, right?
Yeah, because unless you are slapping someone the bow, then
yeah,
I guess
if you're gonna melee someone with the bow, yes, it is 5 feet longer.
Yes, it's 5 feet longer.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. I mean, that's weird, but okay. And this weapon glows golden, providing bright light in a 20 feet range emanation. So, you're basically a walking torchlight.
Yes.
In a 20 feet.
Yep.
Emanation. Yeah.
This thing is not you cannot turn on and off this thing unless you remove the enchantment, so this weapon is always glowing. Right. So beware in your adventures as you become a glowing light bulb in the middle of a dark forest. Right. So okay, when it comes to skills used with this weapon deal radiant damage, right? What this does is it actually replaces the damage type property on a weapon. Traditionally your weapons will be physical, unless stated otherwise, and radiant will replace that. So if you have a sword, you have a bow, you have a dagger, a spear, whatever it is, right? It now becomes radiant, which means that even if you use an archery skill or a blade art skill with the relevant weapon, it now becomes radiant, right? So that's exactly how the damage conversion and adoption of properties works with those kind of skills.
Because this is the final modifier in that sense, you can think of it that way. So this means that if the weapon was initially like deals fire type damage, this overrides that thing. Yeah. You don't get both. You don't get a fire radiant thing, right? That's not how this works, yeah.
Yep. So okay. This weapon's melee range is 5 feet longer, which means that whatever your range is, if you are polearm has a reach property, which makes its reach 10 feet. This now becomes 15 feet, right? Which means you can poke someone from 15 feet away. It also means that if you do a corner attack, a melee emanation attack, all of those things are now 15 feet as well. It also means you hit your allies who are 15 feet next to you. So be careful of that. Potentially very deadly for your own people as well. And
the light bulb.
Yeah, the light bulb thing. So it's a bright light. Right. Okay, and that is the enchantment for the Radiant Mastery. Is there anything else? I'm gonna turn this off first. Okay.
I mean, it's pretty straightforward for enchant lah. Because so I feel like most of our enchants are actually pretty straightforward because we have the buff component is separated. So it's very clear to like the receiver of the buff, what is this exact like what does it exactly do for you? Yeah. So nothing much here. Just remember to cast it outside combat.
Yep. Yeah, I mean you can cast it inside if you need to combat, but you know.
Yeah, you're wasting two staminas. Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to third skill.
Do note enchant is indefinite. So that means that you don't have to recast it at the start of the day. Yeah, stuff like that is not. There's no maximum usage as well. Yeah.
Okay. Let's move on to the third skill, which is Radiant Smite.
So for background, Radiant Strike is probably the only skill that remain from our very initial skills lah. But yeah. So this is actually very similar to Radiant Smite from D&D.
I don't think it's called Radiant Smite in D&D.
It's not. It's
just Smite or Divine Smite. I'm not sure what it's called now in the 5.5e.
Yeah, but yes. So this is a react spell. So react means you can use it when something happens, right? And in this case, it is. I'll get into that later. So it's a spell. The stamina cost is 1. Similar, actually no, same as Light's Reach. The mastery requirement is 1. So this means you can take this either Light's Reach or Radiant Smite. Yeah, after you take Radiant Strike. Yeah. Then there's no requirement and the learning cost is 1. Yeah. So just now I mentioned react. So this is where this is being used. So the effect here is react when you land a strike. So this means any strike. It never mentioned like is it a weapon strike or what. Correct. Never say it's a melee strike, never say it's a range strike. Correct. So take note, then that strike deals +4 radiance and the target glows golden until the start of your next turn, providing bright light in the 5 feet animation. Yeah. So very clear, and you can use this quite consistently, like as long as you land a strike.
Yep.
Yeah.
So when it says react when you land a strike, this can refer to if you shot with an arrow. This could be I hit you with my fist. This could be I slashed you. This could also be I cast a spell and the strike hits you. So
a spell strike.
Yes, a spell strike. Could be a fireball, could be arcane ball, it could be whatever you want it to be. As long as the strike that you use against someone else, you can react and add a radiant element to it. Now, this is when it lands. This is after it succeeds. So you can, you don't have to invest 1 SP into every single attack that you make. And the last most important component is that this is a plus. This is +4. This is not ideal for additional damage. This is a add 4 damage to my attack, right? What this means is that if someone has armor, it is not mitigated twice. Because armor in AoA mitigates per instance of damage. If I hit the guy twice, it mitigates twice. So if I hit him a single time with a really big hit, armor is less effective. Okay, and then the last one, yes, it provides a bright light. Right. So you'll notice radiant guys are gonna make the entire place really, really, really bright. Right. If you're gonna fight in a dark cave, in a dark tomb, a dungeon, bring a radiant guy. You probably light up the entire place whether you want him to or not. Okay. Now the 4th skill. This is a very long skill, very complicated skill. It might also be one of our most interesting skills. A very different take on what is a paladin or cleric.
This is probably the one skill that when we were designing, right, we had so much back and forth. Because we had so when I first preached this skill, it was way too complicated. I remember very clearly. This was almost like we almost wanted to drop this skill.
Yeah, okay. We will talk about that after we go. Let's go through what the skill is first. This is a very, very long-winded skill.
Yeah, this might take a while. So, divine armament. So, the tags here are weapon, spell, and armament. So, armor this is the first time you see this tag, and it's very unique. I'll get into that in the effect actually. So, it's a spell. Standard point cost is 2, and radiance. The mastery requirement is 2. So this means you can take this after either light switch or radiant smite. Yes. Yeah. Then the requirement here is wielding a weapon, and the mastery point cost / learning cost is 1. So what it actually does is it conjures a floating divine armament within 30 feet that lasts for 1 minute. So that is 10 rounds. 10 rounds. Yeah. So once a round, when you use a weapon skill with a cost of 1 stamina or lower, the divine armament uses the same weapon skill, dealing radiant damage instead. Then the divine armament can freely move around within 30 feet of you and take the form of your weapon, but does not inherit magical bonuses from it. This is a long ass.
This is a mouthful.
Yeah, right? It's a very mouthful.
Okay,
yeah.
Let's look at the first effect.
Yeah.
Right?
So conjuring a floating divine armament. So let's simplify this. We imagine, right? We are using the cleric as we mentioned in the very start.
So you're holding a mace.
So what this does is now you are conjuring an image of this mace as a weapon. So this thing is separated from you right now.
It's a floating entity.
Yes,
right?
You are still holding a mace. You're still holding the mace that you have been smacking people with. However, now you have a copy of it. So that copy is called an armament.
Yep.
Correct. So you can summon this within 30 feet of you. So this means, right, I can summon it behind the guy, behind me, behind you, anywhere, 30 feet.
Yeah.
Correct. For 1 minute. So I mentioned earlier, it's 10 turns, right? A bit mouthful. So the next one is, right, once a round, when you use a weapon skill with a cost of 1 stamina or lower. So you'll notice that for Radiance, right, it only kind of applies to Radiance Strike. Yeah, so because it's 1 stamina lower lah. So when you use Radiance, so I'll use the example of Radiance Strike. Radiance Strike here lah. So when you Radiance Strike the enemy in front of you with the mace, you can make your Divine Armament, which is your floating mace, smacks the guy. Correct. And it does the exact same thing.
It will use exactly Radiant Strike on the target as well.
So think of it as like a mirror image, a clone, stuff like that, that is like mimicking your actions. Yeah. So that is the main component of it. And the next one, right, is this Divine Armor can freely move 30 feet of you. So this means, right, I can summon it behind the guy and then I can move it. Okay. Then it takes the form of your weapon. So this means it will be the mace, but does not inherit magical bonus. So what that means is actually just copying the base item type. So for example, you have a mace that's a +2 to damage or stuff like that, or +2 to roll. That mace does not inherit that +2 damage or +2 to roll. Or any like, so for example, if like you're taking a flaming mace, right? It does not take the flaming component.
Yeah, the armament is not enchanted. The armament does not have any magical effects from your weapon. It is a what do you call it? A mundane version of your weapon, but deals radiant damage.
Yeah.
Right. When it says it can move within 30 feet, this is free movement. There is no SP cost to moving the thing.
So this is not like the closest you can imagine this right now is actually comparing to beasts. But however, beasts, right, is like they have a stat block. So
there's a minion component.
Correct, there's a minion component, there's like there's stats to it. Here, right, there is no stat block for the weapon.
Yep.
It just
this is an ethereal weapon that just is. It doesn't have any, you can't run into it. It goes through things, you know. It floats around, and it's literally just this ethereal divine armament that follows you around and smacks things when you smack things.
Yeah.
Only when you smack things. Yeah.
Specifically you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Alright.
So you will ask, right, like, what can I use this on? Can I use this on bow? Yes, you can. Can I use this on spear? Yes, you can. Correct. There is no limit here. The only limit is you must be wielding a weapon.
Yep. Yeah. The core tag here is weapon skills. So this can be any weapon skills. This could be for example, when you use your blade art skill, if you want to use quick slash, yes, you can use quick slash. If you want to use your power shot on your bow, if you somehow reduce the SP cost of another skill to 1 and use it, it also uses that.
Which you can do in blade arts.
Yes, it's doable in blade arts. I think the only one that is 2 is the mighty throw. So for example, if you want to use your mighty throw, but it is 2, right? And you repulse something before that, you can now throw your weapon at 1 cost, and an armament will also fly at the person dealing the same amount of damage as well.
At the weapon.
Yes, he will fling himself at a person.
However, the weapon can fly back.
Yes, the weapon can go wherever he wants to go.
Fly
yes,
back.
Your weapon can fly back to you, right?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of possibilities when it comes to using a weapon skill. But one thing that is to take note here is that you notice that the Divine Armament doesn't have any hit component, any roll component, any strike component, right? And that's because the Divine Armament takes whatever your roll was. So if you were to use a sword skill, a blade art skill, and it had advantage on it, the weapon will inherit that advantage component. So if you landed a great success, if you landed a crit, the weapon will do the exact same thing, right? So you can start to see how this adds up a lot.
I think one of the things we were thinking about, like one of the main point of concern we had was like, what happens when someone has like stacking advantage on the bow guy and then he uses radiance, and then he has divine armor, and then what happens?
However, there's an element of you need to spend the mastery points to get here in the first place. So divine armament is not a low cost thing.
Yeah.
You just have spent 3 points into your radiance to obtain this skill. And so in that sense, you're already paying a price. right? If you need focus and you want power shot, you have to spend 2 points into archery as well,
Which
means
is
you have to
basically
spend,
everything.
yeah, you've already spent 5 points, right?
Yeah.
So that's quite a lot of points to achieve a very specific combo, and at that point, yeah, why not, right?
Yeah. So you notice, similar to all our other skills, as you get more investment in, right, you get, I would say, weirder, not really correct word, but more specialized skills and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, also synergies start to shine a lot more,
Mm.
right? We do try to keep the synergistic skills at a lower level, but some of them do require you to be a bit more invested before you can achieve them, simply because it's so powerful, right? Okay. Is there anything else you want to add for divine armament?
Nothing really.
Okay.
This is one of the skills that has very huge potential. But it's also quite limiting in that it's only a single strike per round.
A single skill, not even a strike. Yeah, it could be any skill.
Round, yeah. So that's the limiting factor, but other than that, it's pretty unique. Like, I don't think we have ever any reference this before. Yeah.
I mean, in a fantasy concept, it is similar to spiritual weapon in Dungeons and Dragons, or
Guild Wars 2.
your Guild Wars 2,
Yeah.
your spirit weapons.
Weapons.
Another one could be like Holy Strike in PoE, like the latest holy skills. They are similar to those things, but in practice, it is quite a bit different.
Yeah.
Right. For example, in Dungeons and Dragons, your spiritual weapon is it's basically a minion, right? Just a minion who goes around hitting things. This one has much more of a synergistic component to the thing where what skills you use also really matter here, right? So it's meant to amp up. It's meant to amp up whatever you already built into your mastery and into your heroic fantasy, right? Okay, and now the very last skill, which is ironically the simplest skill, I think, right? Aura. You must have an aura as a cleric or a paladin, right? Like auras must exist. And our aura is very straightforward. It's a little bit blocked here. Let me move it a bit. Ooh, okay, that moved everything. One sec. Okay. This one, yes. Cover this a little bit. All right. So aura of resolve.
Yeah, like what you mentioned, is probably the simplest skill ever. Okay, so going to it, aura resolve, it's a boon and an aura. So aura, I think, is also the first one we are seeing.
This will be the only aura in the basic set.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what that means is explain later lah. So skill type, this is a trait, so this means it's passive that's also shown in like the SP cost where it's hyphen out where it doesn't cost anything. Yeah. And then mastery is Radiance 3. So this means it's quote unquote the pinnacle skill of Radiance lah. Yeah. And there's no requirement, and the learning cost here is 1. So what it actually does is, right, you and allies within 15 feet of you gains 1 armor while bloodied. So what is bloodied? So bloodied is a condition where it's applied when you have less than half a HP.
Yeah.
Right. So for example, you have like 14 HP, right? And at 8 HP, you have no armor and like 7 evasion. So the moment you drop to 7, you are now considered bloodied, and now you have 1 armor and 7 evasion. Correct. And this is everyone, including everyone around you within 15 feet.
Yes, including you.
Including you.
You and allies.
You and allies, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, so I think there's a keyword where it's you and allies. It's not only you. It's not only allies.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just to clarify, an aura is you can't turn this off. This is always on. This passive is just always going off.
I mean, why would you turn it off?
Yeah, so for example, if a person falls down or he's incapacitated, he's not dead, right? Aura still goes on. So you might get that meme in, I think in D&D there's this meme where same thing where paladins, they don't drop their aura when they're dead or unconscious. So you can carry around like the relic of a dead body of a paladin, and you just have him like casting an aura around the whole time. Right? So in the same way, yes, when you reach this point, your aura of resolve is just always emanating. Like the relic of a saint, right? And you and your auras within 15, you and your allies within 15 feet gain 1 armor within while bloodied, right? 1 armor is really powerful. If you already have any armor, this thing just amps it up armor gets more and more powerful the higher it goes, obviously, but exponentially so, because there's a limit to the amount of armor penetration that's accessible in the game, right? Eventually, you're just going to reach the point where you are mitigating damage irregardless, and that means that it is very possible. And there are some attacks out there that do very little damage, like 2 or 3 damage. So, any bit of armor reduces 1 off every single hit.
So we just take the skills that Radiance have, for example. So for example, Radiance Strike, right? It does 5 damage only.
Yes.
So you notice, right, when you have Aura of Resolve here that is applied, this means, right, if you are being hit by a Radiant Strike, they are only doing 4 damage now.
Yep.
Right? Because it's a flat reduction.
Yeah. And so, now if you have a shield, it's another 1 down, so you get 3 damage.
And looking at the our suggestion, right? Our first suggestion, which is a cleric, he's wearing heavy armor. So heavy armor here, right, is 3 armor base.
Yes.
Right. And with that shield, is +1. Yep. And then you have Aura Resolve, which is +1.
So you already have 5 armor there,
which means Radiant Strike does nothing to you.
Yes, potentially.
Unless it crits.
Yeah.
It has to crit. Right?
Yeah.
If not, it doesn't do anything. Yeah. You might be Radiant Strike. So remember we were talking about smite. So when you smite, right, it's 5 + 4.
Yeah.
Which means your 5 armor, right, does nothing to that 4. So yeah. So I mean we have mentioned earlier, which is this is it's an addition and it's not applied twice lah. Yeah.
Yep. So in that same example there, Radiant Strike would have been 5 damage if you just succeeded, and then your smite would have made it 9 in total, right? And if you had 5 armor, then you would just take 4 damage.
Yeah.
Right. But that is exactly the type of situation where you would actually want to use Radiant Smite. Because otherwise your Radiant Strike would just never do damage.
Yeah. Right. I mean that was initial. I think our initial Radiant Smite was it was a deal +4. Not +4, deal 4 on like additional 4 or something like that. Like it was a separate instance, I think.
No, that's always been Arcane.
Oh, that was
Arcane. Yeah. I think Radiant Smite used to be a lot weaker. We just had to buff it eventually. Because it cost 1 SP, right? In D&D it was like it wasn't even a bonus action, it's like a free action, you just burn a spell slot, right? Yeah. But then I mean even in 5.5e, now it costs a bonus action, so it becomes so much weaker. Having it become part of your action economy, it has to be powerful, right? It has to come at like some it has to grant a reasonable effect that can make up for the loss of losing 1 SP.
And because for AoA, right, we are running on a stamina point system. Every point is pretty important. Yeah.
In combat, you only have 2 SP below level 3,
yeah.
and then level 3 onwards, you have 3 SP. So every round, you have 3 SP to do your things. You don't do your things, that's it.
This includes movement. So movement costs 1 SP as well.
Yep.
Yeah. Standing up costs 1. Quite a lot of things cost 1 lah.
Yeah. And so with that, a little bit of history about the design behind the Radiance Mastery, right? Initially, Radiance Mastery was very much like the priest cleric kind of design, where Radiant Strike used to be Radiant Beam. It was just another it was Firebolt but holy, right? And it blinded people. And I think
there was like a healing touch.
Yeah, we had like a react. There's a healing touch. Yeah, it was separate skills. And then there was
I think
Shield of Resolve. I think we is a reaction block. It's kind of like Shield in D&D, but for another person. So as a reaction, you would increase their armor.
I remember what it was called. It's called Divine Aegis.
Yeah. So you react, and then you would block someone else's hit at that instance for like a reaction SP cost, and then they gain 3 armor for that.
Yeah, and then there was a different version of that where it's like, I will precast. I'll precast this. And maybe block the guy.
Yes.
It's like, what?
Preemptively buff your armor by 5, right? Something like that.
Yeah.
Right. So that may come back in another form in the future, but that form was really bad. Like that exact version of it was impractical.
No one used it.
Yeah, it was too impractical.
Yeah. It's not only that it's impractical, it's I mean like what we have been talking about, which is stamina cost being very like important here. Every point of cost that is not like used properly, right, is basically wasted potential. So that was a big problem quite early on for Radiance lah. Yeah. And that also brings us to that point where why Radiant Strike is it today, which means that why does it have the separate component? It's because we were thinking, right, like it doesn't make sense for someone to pick 2 skills at level 1, right? Because this is basically 2 skills. Yeah. And then it's like, why not we just combine the thing?
It's still kind of compulsory skills as well.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have back then it was Radiant Beam and then you had Healing Touch. It became this thing where do I take a damaging skill as a Radiant only user, or do I take a heal and then I hit people with my hammer, like my basic attack hammer?
Yeah.
Right? And it feels bad. So we just combine the thing. Like if you're a Radiant user, baseline you have a heal, right? It's kind of like having Lay on Hands by default, right? And you also have a holy form of attack. Now the cost here is what? I need a weapon, right? And the weapon you choose actually matters. And this unlocked this kind of factor of having synergies based on other weapon masteries, right? Could be spear, could be bow, and I think bow is the more interesting one here because Radiant Strike requires you to weapon spell strike a target, right? Which means that if you were to use a mace, you have to hit the guy with your mace. Now, if you use the bow, you can shoot someone with your bow to heal them as well. So there's this element of like, okay, the traditional hero, he may be carrying a bow on the back, he may be carrying a mace in the front, and he's like, oh, I need to heal that guy, takes out my bow and I shoot him with my bow as well. That might be an option. And it's probably a good option as well.
I mean, ideally, is what would happen is that the hero doesn't have the mace, and he's just playing with just the bow.
I mean, it depends, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it depends because you can have up to 3 mastery. So this means that the mace is still in play here.
No, as in what I mean is you don't even get masteries on either of them.
Oh yeah.
You just carry you just carry a bunch of weapons around with you and use them in whatever situations you need to, right? Like, of course, the worst part about the bow is that if you're within 5 feet of the guy or within melee range of the guy, then he's gonna, you have disadvantage. You have to run away and you have to shoot him and all kinds of things like that. Right.
I mean, you just use divine armor now.
Yeah, but then your own attack still gets disadvantage, right?
Oh yeah, that's true.
Right. The roll is not on the armament on you. Right. But yeah. With that, opening up all of these synergies based on the new design philosophy became more like a paladin, like your traditional paladin, where you are a spell blade in a sense, using a weapon. It's a holy spell blade. You're using a weapon. It's buffing yourself. It's buffing other people. And then there's an aspect of, okay, you can support, but you still have a weapon in mind. It's kind of martial magic combination.
You're not quote unquote useless.
I mean, you're never useless.
You never were, but
you're dangerous.
Yeah, you're now actually a threat.
Yeah, now you're actually dangerous, right? So things like Radiant Smite and Light's Reach, it's their choice nodes because what if you just want to be a pure support guy? You could, right? And things like Divine Armament, there's also a support component as mentioned just now, where if I can Radiant Strike someone to heal them, my armament can Radiant Strike someone to heal them as well. Right, so this goes both ways. I might be striking and healing 2 people at the same time, right? And Aura of Resolve is just like the cherry on top. Just makes you tankier, you die less, and you can either be really powerful support.
Not only you, that's a keyword.
Yeah, everybody around you dies less.
And basically your entire party.
Yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so with this entire package, I hope you can now see that there is an option to be fully support and an option to be an Inquisitor, right? Where you're going to murder people as a paladin or as a cleric. And you can combine these things with other masteries to go full into support or even more full into being just a paladin, right? You can be a sword guy, heavy armor, go in slashing people. All those things are very possible with the mastery system that we have made here, especially with the Radiance one.
And I mean, we have quite a lot of deep dive already so far. So I think we are starting to see more and more of these synergies coming online, as well as like more theory crafting that we hope to see soon lah. Yeah.
So go check out the old masteries. You don't have to watch through the whole thing. You can just kind of like take a look at the skill list that is available on the screen during stream, and then just take a look at how do these things like start mashing up together, right? Because a lot of these things a lot of the skills are very open-ended, and you can blend them together and start forming some weird like combinations that can be potentially and probably are very powerful.
Right? And because we are the only limiting we have right now is actually the 3 maximum mastery difference, as well as like not really, but kind of the maximum level. But that's quite exclusive for the basic set lah. Yeah. So if you homebrew or stuff like that, then different story here.
Yep.
Yeah.
These are rules that if you choose not to follow them, you can just that's up to you. That's your table, your rules, right? Okay, and we have come to the end of all of the Radiance skills. Is there anything else you'd like to add here?
Nothing much. It's outside of divine armament being a bit more complex. I think everything else is pretty like easy to get and pretty simple lah. Yeah. Simple is aura lor.
Yeah, that means simple is the aura. I think smite is also pretty simple.
Yeah, those are like do take note that if you I think this is quite tying into blade arts where if you react to slash someone, you can react again using Radiance Smite to add on. So do take note that react can react into react in that sense.
Yeah, I mean the only condition there is when you land a strike,
so,
right? Whenever you land a strike, you can react. It's up to you.
There's a lot of combinations here that you can try out lah. Yeah. So other than that, I think Radiance is pretty solid choice. I mean, all the mastery are pretty solid choices lah. Yeah, is we just want to see like what like class fantasy that people can achieve with all these mastery that we have released. Yeah.
Yep. Okay. With that, we have come to the end of the 10th episode of Tiny Table Talk. This has been the Radiance Mastery Deep Dive. Pre-launch Kickstarter page available in the link below. So all of our social medias, you can join our community Discord, Facebook group, follow us on X for more info. And we will be going through more and more masteries and mechanics and about the lore and the world within Aeons of Adventure in the upcoming weeks leading up to the actual launch of the campaign. So please follow us on the pre-launch page on Kickstarter. Do subscribe as well so that you can catch up and be notified whenever you get whenever you do a new live stream or a new video for more info about the game. Right. So with that, I've been John.
I'm Taeyang.
And we're signing up.